The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening, Paul Cooney here, and we've got all bases covered as we go into this post-split era after this weekend. Peter Grant, the former Celtic and Scotland star for Celtic, well, and your thoughts on everything, Peter, and former Rangers and Hearts striker Kevin Kyle. Evening both.
Evening, Paul.
Evening, Paul.
First time you've both been on here together, Kevin.
I know, it's good. Like I said, it's good to see Peter because I remember him from many, many years ago. He was telling me his age here, but I couldn't believe that.
You can't believe it, no. He's added on the VAT.
Definitely no 71.
Steady. Far from it. So they're here. We're going to take your calls 0808 17 17 700. This time last night we gave you the fixtures upcoming. There's lots of chat about it today. The SPFL defending how they've done it. It must be so difficult, Kevin, you're never going to keep everyone happy. We're going to hear from Derek McInnes in a moment or two about the split. What do you make of it overall, especially wearing your Rangers and your Hearts mantle as former player?
I think that firstly it's a difficult job because then you throw in the TV, so they have to get their fixture that they want. So that would maybe indicate why Rangers are playing Hearts at 5 o'clock on a Monday. Yeah. That's got to be up there with one of the most ridiculous kick-off times I think we've ever seen in Scottish football in terms of the circumstance we're in. Yeah. The idea that Celtic play every game before Rangers seems to be a bit of a question mark.
And a few weeks ago, Celtic fans were saying the other thing.
They were coming last. So regardless of what
everybody's
conspiracy theory is with this, you were never going to get it right. Everybody was going to complain about it one way or another, but the reality is for the three teams involved is just win your games. And this part of the season, the way it's panned out with the 3 points splitting between the three of them, it's going to take bottle. So whether your team wins and whether a rival wins on the Saturday and you're playing the Sunday, you still have to show that mantle on the Sunday to get the game, to get your 3 points. So regardless of what the paperwork says, just take care of your own destiny, and that'll end up showing who deserves this title come the end of the season.
Peter, what's your thoughts overall on the day when we hear it came in late last night that the Green Brigade are back at least until the end of the season?
Well, it's so important, Paul. I'll say it many times. The supporters are the most important part of Celtic Football Club and win you games when you don't play well. They've pushed us over the line many, many times, and I'm hoping that's what comes back in the door. You know, supporting the club, supporting the team, which is the most important. The players on that pitch get that lift and hear that noise, because there's nothing to beat it, and that's so important. And that's fine when you and Kevin are talking there about the split. I'm more concerned about St Mirren at the weekend, because I believe this weekend is massive for all these clubs. You know, there's no easy game in there. St Mirren have done very well under McLeish. Falkirk have done well all season, and Motherwell have been outstanding. So these are difficult fixtures. So that could change everything when you get into the split. Everything. Because if you drop your points this weekend, it becomes massive. But it's nice to see, I know you're going to listen to Derek. I hear he's complaining about the time difference. Well, a couple of weeks ago he wasn't, when I was saying about Celtic always playing last. Now all of a sudden it's a problem playing last. It wasn't a problem a few weeks ago when they were sitting top of the league clear. So you can't have your cake and eat it. So that's why I always thought there is an advantage if you're on first if you win, because you're sitting in the dressing room with the 3 points in the bag. And that's why I'm glad that Celtic have got an opportunity to play before everybody else.
All right, we'll take your calls in a few moments. 0808 17 17 700. First up, Derek McInnes.
The fixtures was actually what we were expecting. We'd kind of anticipated that. I don't know whether we'd get the heads up a couple of weeks before. So when it came through, there was no real surprise. Obviously, the kick-off times are a bit unusual at times. It's not great for the fans that they don't get Saturday at 3 o'clock, but I think, you know, having 3 away games, it was probably difficult to fit everything in. I know there's been a lot of narrative and comment about the team who normally goes into the top 6 split with the most points normally gets a home game at the last game of the season for obvious reasons, and that hasn't been the case this time. So I get how not everybody's going to be happy. I think the league have got a tough job to try and keep every club happy and every set of supporters happy. But for us, we're just obviously excited by the games that's coming up. I think you look at them, a lot of mouth-watering fixtures. They're brilliant fixtures.
Hearts 67, Rangers 66, Celtic 64. Kevin, you've got a theory already for this weekend. I'm going to throw it to you right away. What do you think the points will be by close of play on Sunday?
I think potentially they could all be sitting on the same point, 67.
Right. So in other words, Hearts to lose at Motherwell.
Hearts potentially to lose at Motherwell. I don't think they've beat Motherwell this season in the 3 games they've played before. I think Falkirk are flying high as always. The way they play their game, obviously, what a scalp they had last week at Motherwell.
So a draw, you're reckoning?
Possibly a draw, and then Celtic to beat St Mirren at home. But listen, we know from last week talking that only once over the course of the season has all 3 teams won on the same day. So I don't expect anything different this weekend.
Right. So it is amazing, Peter. That would be 67, one of your favourite numbers, of course, isn't it? Rangers on 67. Listen, a draw at Falkirk is actually, it's not a bad result at all. Rangers fans will be going into it desperate to get the 3 points. And Celtic, there's no guarantee that they will win either. There's nobody you can put your hat on, is there?
No, because I look at all the fixtures, even when you do get into it, Paul, but in the split, forget this weekend, but you get into the split, every one of the teams is playing well out with the 3. If you know what I mean, you're talking about your Motherwell, you're talking about your Falkirk, you're talking about your Hibs. They're all capable of beating these teams. That's the difference. It wouldn't surprise me if a Motherwell went and beat Rangers, or a Motherwell went and beat Celtic, or a Motherwell went and beat Hearts. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. They're more than capable of it. Same with Falkirk, we've seen that. Never an easy game going to Easter Road at any time. So I don't know. I think that this is when the focus becomes. And we were always told that Celtic as players, year in, year out, year in, out. People talk about tactics and whatever. We were told, win your next game. Play well. That was the only thing that was added on. It was to try and win the game, first and foremost, and hopefully you'll have played well. And that was a mantra all the time. So I'm sure that's all Martin O'Neill is interested this weekend, this game, which is the most important game in the calendar for all these teams. Celtic against St Mirren, Rangers v Falkirk, Hearts versus Motherwell, and I'm hoping Kevin's 100% right.
Derek McInnes, he was asked the question, what's the most important of the games? And we might just hear it.
I don't think there's a fixture more key than any other. I'll be honest with that now, with 6 games to go. We've beaten Falkirk at home already, so as a reference point there, we've beaten Rangers at home already, we've beaten Celtic away. We haven't beaten Hibs away, so there's a reference point, and we've got Motherwell twice, where we've drawn with twice. So I also thought that the league's going to try and get a fixture at the death that would be pretty key, and hopefully, as I say, we're still in with a chance of winning the title going into that last game. I think it's an unbelievable fixture if we are, and particularly if Celtic have still got a chance as well. So if both teams are still in the mix for winning the league, it's the most dramatic fixture you can have. Obviously Rangers are going to have a lot to say about that, and they've got a difficult away game last game of the season as well. So I think it's up to the league and the Sky and the TV companies to try and maximise the drama, and we've got to accept that.
We've certainly got the drama, haven't we, guys? Let's take the first of the calls. 0808 17 17 700. Stevie's on from Glasgow. Hi, Stevie.
Evening, guys. How we doing?
Evening, Stevie.
How you doing, Stevie?
Tip top, thank you. Hope you're well. Stevie, what do you make of it?
I watched, obviously, I just watched the highlights, Paul, but I don't know what the guys think. I just thought all 3 games were all really nervous. You know what I mean? No, the Hearts game, again.
Yeah.
So as they're getting slated, we can't beat bottom of the league. But, I mean, these teams down there are fighting for points to stay in the league.
Yeah.
And the teams at the top of the league are fighting for points to actually stay in the title race. So, as much as the conspiracy theories will sit and say, Celtic play first, that's set up for Celtic to win the league and all that, it's no. I mean, there's nothing guaranteed now. I mean, we know the fixtures, we know what we've got today. And Peter made a point there, I mean, just win your game, win your next game, and everything else will take care. Not me know when it all comes out in the wash, to use a Glasgow expression. You know what I mean? So
that's a great expression. I haven't heard it for a while. What is going to come out in the wash? I think Rangers today with the bookies are the favourites, Kevin.
Is that right? Aye.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That doesn't surprise me because I have said in recent weeks that I feel that Rangers have the more capable squad in terms of numbers. They have a good 11. They've also have a good bench of 4 or 5 players to come on. Sometimes you look at Celtic and sometimes you're bringing on players that maybe aren't quite in form. And Hearts are probably in the same position. So I can see why they've put Rangers as favourites. But like Stevie said, teams like, obviously with Livingston at the weekend, drawing with Hearts, Rangers had to find a last minute equaliser to get a point against Livingston away, and Celtic I think scored a last minute winner to beat Livingston. So these games aren't easy. We're going to chuck in the likes of Falkirk and Hibs and Motherwell, who's nobody's really talking about, like Peter alluded to. Do you honestly think that Hibernian's going to allow their greatest rivals to win the league
Of course
easy?
they are.
Of course.
Kevin, what's that going to be like? Stevie loves his football as well, as we can hear. What's that game like? I've been to it once. Wow. It's not quite the Old Firm, the Glasgow Derby, but it's a bit special.
It's not quite the Old Firm in terms of numbers, because the numbers that are in an Old Firm game are huge, but in terms of what Hearts and Hibs can bring to the table, it's just as good as any derby match you'll ever play in.
What was it like scoring in it?
That was pretty decent, to be fair. That was probably that was a massive highlight. New Year's Day 2011. I'll never forget that one. But no, listen, Hibs are looking to try and stop their rivals win their title.
Yeah.
Celtic's trying to stop Hearts win their title. Celtic's trying to stop their rivals win their title. Everybody's trying to stop each other winning a title. At the same time, Motherwell's trying to finish fourth to get into Europe.
Exactly.
Hibs are trying to chase Motherwell down to get into Europe, and Falkirk are probably trying to push for as many points as possibly can for maybe one of the highest finishes they've ever had in the Premier League under John McGlynn. So everybody's got something to play for in their own right. So it ain't going to be easy, doesn't it? Of all those fixtures we've looked at, there isn't a fixture on there where you say that's a given 3 points.
No. Jens Bertolascu, so much been said about him as well, guys. But I mean, they've had a bad run the last few weeks, and he'll want to arrest that this weekend at Tynecastle. It's going to be some game, Peter. There are no gimmies in here.
Yeah, well, I watched them all at the weekend. Their Falkirk were excellent, an excellent start to the game, and played really, really well, put pressure on them. But they were the downfall of their own self. Motherwell would make mistakes, passing the ball back across the line and whatever. And you're going to get to that stage when you're doing that. And is that going to be the difference? Maybe they'll change something a little bit at the weekend, not the way they play. Will they say to them, listen, right, we've learnt from that? Motherwell's always difficult. Motherwell was the best performance I've seen for a home-based team against Celtic in my living memory. Never mind anything else. Motherwell's performance when Wilfred Nancy was manager. Yeah. Motherwell were outstanding. I mean, brilliant on the night. Celtic were really poor, but they were brilliant on the night. And it was the best, as I say, home-based team that I'd seen performance like that.
How much of that was the Wilfred Nancy factor?
Yeah, well,
in your estimation?
I'm not necessarily the system for sure, because they never adjusted anything. He made substitutions and still played in the same positions, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And it was so comfortable for Motherwell, but they deserved it on that particular night. Could have won more. So they had a massive performance. They'll have a big say in it. There's no doubt in that. Kevin touched on it. He's named every one of them. Yeah. Every one of them's a problem game. Yeah. And I'm looking at the front. You're talking about Rangers being favourites. Rangers have got a fit squad. You'd probably say Romans there's only one at this moment in time.
He's back for the Hearts game.
But they're scoring goals and they can score for set plays. Shanklin's back.
Yep.
He'll score goals as
Braga
he does.
as well.
Braga scores goals. They score set plays. Yep. Celtic, I've got a question mark because I don't know what Celtic's turning up. I know they've got some fantastic players when they're playing at their best, but they've not proved that this season. I can't think of many games apart from Europe where Celtic have played at their best. And that'd be my concern about Celtic. I hope I'm 1,000,000% wrong, as I say, because I'm still waiting their performances and hopefully they're going to come in the last 6 games.
Stevie, what would you say to these two legends here there, especially Peter there about Celtic? Because at the weekend, I think on the surface, good surface at Dundee, you thought they're going to turn it on. 17 opportunities to score, but they only took 2 of them.
Listen, it doesn't matter if we have 50 opportunities and one goes in, as long as we get the 3 points. And just picking up the big Kevin saying there, I think Granty scored a few Old Firm goals and probably, there's a few days at training after it, we're still talking about it, still going on about it.
Still talking about it. Exactly.
a 6-year tap in probably ended up with a 35 yarder for that, you know what I mean?
You're right, Stevie.
I just think it's so great. Though that we come into a World Cup year and nothing's decided, nothing's done and dusted. That even the Scottish Cup's interesting with the teams that are in that. Falkirk are playing amazing. So I would have that wee boy. He should be picked for Scotland if they play up front. He's scoring goals for fun. He's confident. So let's go for him. That's the way we used to do it.
That's right.
Years ago. But all this conspiracy thing that Celtic are fast in it. But it's now a case of you're going, as Peter said, what Celtic is going to turn up. You know what I mean? Are they better turning up knowing, right, let's get the points on the board? Are they better turning up knowing, this is what we need to do, guys, because they have already won. So they have. So we don't want to fall further behind. So it's a mental game, and both the boys have played the game. Obviously, I've only done it at an amateur level as a manager, finishing 10 weeks ahead of the team that finished second. They went to a playoff.
10 points.
But we went and watched them. So we did that mean
Yep.
to put the pressure on them, and then we beat them in a playoff. So
Good man.
obviously,
Yep.
I know the league doesn't get decided that way, boys, but
Sure.
I'm just saying the pressure that you're under, so you're new, who can handle it? So I know Kevin's saying
Sure.
about Rangers and that, so...
Stevie, who would you have up front then? Who do you start with this weekend? Ian Acho?
Again, he's so unpredictable, but I'm not an actual fan. There,
No?
what I mean.
I bet you were when they scored on Sunday. But I mean, Chivanchara? Well, yeah.
Again, I wouldn't. I mean, the boy misses more than what he scores, mate. You know what I mean? No, and there's a boy obviously that played amateur for me, Gary Duncan. He would have buried half of him, so he would have not. I mean, but you say to yourself, not again, who's more consistent, and the one I trust is Maeda through the middle.
Through the middle.
So is that,
All right.
that,
Peter?
that's the one I would go.
It's funny, Stevie saying that, because if I was naming the side just now, I would probably do that as well.
Okay.
And you know what? I don't think he's a striker anyway.
No.
But the reason I'd put him through the middle is St Mirren in the last few weeks have tried to play out from the back.
Yep.
And they've made a couple of errors trying to do it, and they've been good in other parts. They battered Aberdeen at the weekend, especially first half.
Sure.
And I just think Maeda needs to get. You've got Celtic Park full again. You need to start on the front foot. You need to play with a pressure going on their back line and their goalkeeper. And there's nobody better at doing it than him. You know, he lacks the quality finishing, but I think this game I would definitely start him as a centre forward just for that. And I agree with the fact that Iniacho, my concern with starting Iniacho means you're only going to get 55 minutes.
Yeah.
And in that period, he could be your best player. But then you're taking your best player off at 55 minutes.
But they might have finished somebody off by then, which,
Yeah,
Kevin, as
of
you know,
course.
they've not been able to do it.
That's probably Celtic's downfall the most season. There's been. I would like to see a start of how many games where Celtic are leading 1-0 and have never got that second goal to kill teams off. On Peter's point about Maeda being up front, I think Sunday there was very evident that he was up for that game Sunday. He was pressing from the front, he was winning the balls back, and that allowed Celtic to get further up the park and actually put Dundee penned in their own half. They just didn't take the opportunities. With McLeish coming in at St Mirren and looking to change the way they play, because they've always been kind of direct 4-4-2, whereas now they're playing out from the back. If Celtic can put a good press on, push St Mirren into making mistakes, then they could get that early goal and maybe settle the crowd down. Could they get the second goal? Because the reality is as well that Celtic go 1-0 up on Sunday fairly early. You're thinking then, can they go 2-3-4 and start catching up with the goal scenario? Because the way the league is, Celtic's behind in a lot of goals, so they're needing that result at home to try and get some goals on the board. Could Saturday be that opportunity against St Mirren?
That's right. The 3 points, as you know, and 5 goals behind Hearts, not to mention Rangers, 9 goals behind them. Stevie, before you go, Sarachi, he contributed big time at the weekend. Does he fit into your starting lineup?
Again, though, Paul, it's when you say to yourself, I think the start was Celtic have scored 40 less goals than last season. 40. And you say to yourself, I mean, no, that we need to shut up at the back. As Kevin said, we could score the early goals, but then we're on the edge of our seats. We're all biting our nails, and I mean, we're all looking away because we're creating the chances, but the guys just aren't good. I mean, to finish them. You know what I mean? It's different when you sit and say, and Peter's played behind, cracking forwards, sorry, how's that mean? And you sit and go, I know he's going to score. I keep putting the ball in for him, he will score. We're sitting saying, will he maybe score? Is he going to be lucky to score? If I get the ball in, is he going to, could I date myself? Because he's not doing it. And all that uncertainty, I mean, as Peter and Kevin knows, sometimes you just need the team to be gelling, trust each other, work hard for each other, and you'll get your just rewards. You'll get out a game of football what you put into it. But as the stats are showing, Celtic are creating loads of chances, Paul. But they're just, the law of averages isn't even meeting. You know what I mean?
What was the news last night then, sorry Stevie, about the Green Brigade back in, so Celtic back at full capacity this weekend, starting St Mirren game. I remember you've been on before, I don't think you've been measured about it, you've been critical at times. What do you feel that the Green Brigade are coming back this weekend?
Well, I'll ask Peter Grant, would that be allowed if the jungle was still there, Peter?
Oh, if they're not to replace the jungle, as I say, gave us a goal at the start. There's no doubt of that, Stevie. And it wouldn't have been allowed anyway. They'd have taken care of it themselves. There's no doubt in my mind of that. But as I say, I'm delighted that everybody's back in, as long as they're all singing for the team. And people can have their complaints. As I say, people can have their complaints. I just think as long as for that 90 minutes you go with the team, you get behind the team, because please believe me, the energy it gives you is incredible. And times when you're struggling at times, it just lifts you. And then, as Stevie says, if you get an early goal, the noise it's going to make. And that's what you're hoping for. And listen, I think the fans understand now. There may be setbacks, you maybe lose a goal here and there, but you need that support, then it pushes you. And that's been worth a goalie start for a long, long time, as long as Celtic's been here as a support. So it's so important you've got everybody in there singing from the same song sheet, as they say.
Different song sheet, but you could see the Union Bears at the weekend when it was a bit tense for Rangers, 3-2, then United hit the post, but they were there, still bouncing up and down, and then the fourth goal goes in.
That's the power of what fans can do.
Yeah.
The Green Brigade have their differences in terms of what they feel with the board and how the club's ran. I think for most Celtic fans, they would like them to park those feelings, because the more you keep going about it from now to the end of the season, it's not going to benefit anybody. Have your protests at the end of the season. Hopefully by then maybe Celtic's won the league, and it's not going to take away from the fact that it's been a struggle.
Yeah.
But Celtic, the Green Brigade coming back in at this time might just be that signing they never managed to get in January.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's
Yeah,
like it's more like they're needing something just to give them a spark, and the fact that it is a home game on Saturday against St Mirren, maybe the crowd, maybe they can lift the whole crowd, because I'm pretty sure, Peter, you've been to more Celtic games this season than I have. The atmosphere hasn't been of what it has been in the past.
Sure.
So maybe this weekend they can make it that, because I look at these next three games that Celtic have: St Mirren at home, is it Falkirk at home, and then it's Hibs away.
Yep.
I think those are three very winnable games, and with winning games added onto the Dundee, that would be 4 in the bounce. Well, Celtic's only won 5 in the bounce once this season, so potentially if you can get that momentum going with the 3 biggest games still to go, as in Rangers, Motherwell, Hearts, that sets them up very well for an opportunity to go and win the league.
It's a great point. 4 of the 6 games are at home.
See, on that, Paul, people always used to say that the supporters are the 12th man. I've always said the Celtic supporters are the first man. I've always said that, because it's so important. When you run out that tunnel and that noise and the songs are getting sang and whatever, it is phenomenal. And I'm sure other clubs will say that about their own supporters as well, but I'm talking about Celtic. That's where I was. And the difference that makes, it makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You can't wait for the game to get started when everybody's singing there. And it's an incredible time to be part of what's going on now. I didn't think Celtic would have been in this position after the Dundee United game.
No.
I didn't think they'd been it.
Did
Now
you
they're
think that
right
was
back
it?
in. Yeah,
Okay.
now they're right back in it.
This time tomorrow night, Willie Hockey is going to join us in the studio. There'll be an extra place, and he'll be updating us on the Celtic Season Ticket Alliance, which he announced on this programme at the start of last month. So who's going to be leading it for him? What's happening? What's the take-up? That's all coming tomorrow night, just after 5 here on the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Thanks so much, Stevie.
Cheers, Stevie.
We're
Cheers,
back in a
Stevie.
moment.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Player of the month last month was Barney Stewart, and he found out yesterday on his 22nd birthday. More about him shortly. Now, towards the end of the show last night, I see Gary's on from the Gorbals, so I say, right, transatlantic call now. Here's Gary, and we lost the call, but Gary, we've got you now. Good evening.
Evening.
Evening, Gary.
Guys, how are
Hi,
you?
Gary.
A good Gary. You should just come in, actually, because I couldn't believe it last night. I don't know what happened, but glad you've come back on tonight. Gary,
Yeah.
What's in your mind? Is it post-split? What do you feel?
I mean, yeah, obviously the fixture list threw up it's kind of fraught with landmines and danger all over the place when you look at the points that could be dropped by all 3 teams in terms of it's going to be interesting, because obviously you've got a few tasty ones right away. You've got Celtic Falkirk. I know we're at home, but it's a 5:30 on a Saturday in front of the cameras, so those sort of games can always pose dangerous. And when you look at Falkirk, obviously, I know they just made the top 6, but when you look at it, they're only 8 points off in Motherwell, so they'll feel they can push Motherwell and try and grab 4th spot, so they'll be fighting. And as I say, it's just more so some of the comments from like Ewan Cameron and Alan McCoy, and particular McCoy today, I think just spitting the dummy a wee bit. I know.
What did Ali say today? I missed him. Was that on TalkSport this morning?
Yeah, he was on with Gavin Bonlord and Alan Brazil, and he was basically saying that Celtic run Scottish football up here, and
well, Ali said that.
Yeah, he said it on the radio. Yeah, basically said he was majorly spitting the dummy. I was very, very surprised of how he reacted, because he didn't obviously have his pundit hat on that he normally does when he's normally kind of calm and composed. He was obviously speaking as a kind of true Rangers fan almost. So, I think that's a bit ludicrous to suggest, because when you look at it, the reason obviously we've got a home game for the last game is that we've got three home games to play in the split, and the fact that obviously it's ridiculous to suggest that.
And Ali knows that, and you have to play home and away your last two. You know, you can't have two home games, or you can't get two away games. No, you're absolutely right on that one, Kevin. We all kind of love Ali. We all know him, but I didn't hear it this morning. I heard a bit of banter with him and Alan Brazil. No, Alan Brazil beforehand. But I was also listening to our breakfast show with Stephen and Rachel this morning. But did you hear it? Have you got a thought on it?
Listen, I've listened to TalkSport for 20 plus years. And obviously when Ali's come on, having worked under Ali, know what he's like and stuff. The caller just said it as it is. Ali's a Rangers man. He's not going to hide away from that. Sometimes when he says things like he's probably said today, sometimes it is a bit tongue-in-cheek, so I give him a wee bit of benefit of doubt. But Alan Brazil gives him the other way because he's mad Celtic, you know what I mean? So Coisty, sometimes he shows his true colours, sometimes he sits on the fence. Just depends who's paying him the work for the job, innit, really? Let's be honest about it. No, for me, everybody's got their say. I don't think there's anybody actually sat down and if there has been, to sit down and actually think, right, we need to put this fixture here and this fixture there because that fixture means that to that and this means that to that. That's no, I don't think even the SFA's got time for that.
But the thing is, Paul, take it back a few weeks. This seemingly wasn't an issue for Rangers or Hearts.
Yeah,
they were always playing on the Saturday before Celtic. They never complained when Celtic they play every Sunday, and that's the point I'm going on about. So they can't forget that as quick as they have. And that's why I'm delighted to see it, because at that time there was no issue. Now there is an issue. And you're 100% right. How can the fixtures go any other way? You were always playing Rangers in the middle one. So where were you going to play Hearts?
Of course.
Hearts are playing Hibs as well, so you can't. You've got to make sure that's not the last one.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you couldn't have Hearts winning the title.
Absolutely, you can't have Celtic and Rangers the last one. So that's exactly the way it's handed out. And listen, you can't do any much more than that.
Jim Cunningham's on saying, look, Ali was joking, and I didn't hear it this morning, but I did hear just before it a bit of banter, as there always is with Alan Brazil, who's given the Celtic line and Ali the Rangers one. Do you know what, Gary, you were saying earlier on, see every single game, if you look at all three, Hearts are, they're not on the boil at the moment. I think we'd all agree. Celtic haven't been on the boil for, I don't know, since when. And Rangers, they're not on the boil.
But they're the team that scoring goals, Paul.
They are, but every single one of them could easily slip up. Look at I'm thinking there, I hesitated slightly because look at Rangers, as Kevin said, at Livy about a month ago. They were 2 down, not that long to go, then 2-1, and then 2-2 right at the end. Do you know what I mean? There's no one of these games you can say, they've given Celtic a really easy one, or Rangers or Hearts or whatever. There's going to be jeopardy in every single fixture for the three of them.
And that's how good the top six have been. That's credit to the top six and how good the likes of Hibs and Motherwell and Falkirk have been as well. I mean, obviously, like you and Cameron, I don't really mind.
I don't really want to get into that. I'm not really interested in that one for you. So let's not give that. I've not heard it. I'm not interested on that one. Yeah.
But like as I say, like the top six, as I say, when you look at the Motherwell, Rangers have struggled to beat Motherwell. Obviously all season. So even at Ibrox, like that could be a tasty one. Hearts obviously have to travel Easter Road. We've got Falkirk. Falkirk have been playing great football all season, and John McGlynn probably really good shout for manager of the year in terms of that. And then, as you say, you've got the following week, Rangers have to travel to Tynecastle on the holiday Monday and things like that. So it will be interesting to see in terms of that kind of pressure pot of whoever plays first on the Saturday. If they win, it puts pressure then on with the gap only being at 3 points. It then puts pressure on the other two kind of thing. But for me, I think with Celtic having the 2 home games straight away, with St Mirren and Falkirk, we've got to go and get the win and we've got to get the early goal. But I think we've got to look at trying to batter teams now. We've got to really try and ramp up the goal difference, because it could come down to goal difference on the last day. I hope it doesn't, but I think it could come down to goal difference, and if it does, then we really need to get our act together. For me, as I say,
Gary, I was going to ask you that. How are you going to ramp it up? What does that mean?
I mean, surely there's somebody at that club that's capable of sticking the ball in the back of the net quite easily. I know Callum Osman's obviously just come back from injury. We need to try and get him back in the team and back fully fit kind of thing. Because for me, I think Osman would have been the answer for the majority of this season. I think
Really?
Iheanacho, for me, has to be the number one now.
Yeah.
Because I still don't believe Dyson Maida's fully performing to the level that we know he can. Whether that's to do with the fact he didn't get a move away in the summer, I don't know. But
that's all. That should all be gone now, shouldn't it? Do you not think, Kevin? I'm looking at you as a former striker. Do you not think Maeda looked more on it at the weekend?
He did, because he looked hungry for.
Yeah.
Like, he put himself about, and sometimes you have to start with the basics for the rest to follow.
Yeah.
And some weeks he doesn't get started in games, and you can see by not starting fast and strong and quick, and his aggression and the press that he puts on, sometimes the game passes him by, his touches off, his crossing, his decision making's poor. Whereas Sunday, he was at it, winning every single second. Like every time Celtic gave up possession, he was the first one back getting it, and that allowed Celtic then to be better in the final third. But the caller here's talking about like Callum Osman being fit. What is it that Callum Osman done for Celtic this year that is indicating that Callum Osman would be the guy that's going to shoot Celtic to the title? He scored a slide-in goal against Rangers, I think it was in the cup game or whatever it was, and then he got injured after that.
And that's probably the answer, though, isn't it? If you score,
but it shows where Celtic are at this minute in time, because they're trying to. They're trying to hang on to something that's not there.
Sure, I get it. I agree, Gary.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but that's just how desperate we are.
That's the point I'm getting at, Gary. Celtic are that desperate to find that kind of shining light somewhere within a squad. They're looking at options. That the reality is that the boys that do get picked on a Saturday or a Sunday, whenever the games are, they just need to be better. That's all it is. Just try and make sure you take, like big Chavara missed a few chances on Sunday. A couple of them are probably unlucky. Yeah. But if he scores that first one that hits the post, he probably scores the next two. And Celtic go and win the game 3-4. That's what scoring goals does as a striker. When you keep hitting the barn door and it doesn't quite open all the time, you kind of lose faith in what you're trying to do.
Better to be lucky than good.
Exactly. That's what I used to say anyway.
What would you do for this weekend then? Do you start with Iheanacho, and then if it doesn't work, whatever you put, or if he runs out of steam, you put Maeda in the middle?
I was always a great believer, Paul. You start with your best team. Yeah. I was always a great believer in that. But this, when I watch Iheanacho, I just think the drop off the team have every time he's went off in a game is massive. I go back to the cup final against St Mirren. He was excellent for that period. Goes off in the game. Celtic lose the game and lose their performance. I watch him again at the weekend, and I'm thinking he's got that talent. And if he's not allowed till the last of the game, and that's why this weekend, because St Mirren are playing slightly different, I'm looking at like playing Maeda through the middle. Maeda's not surprised me this season, and it's not through lack of effort. I keep saying that. Kevin will know better than me. He's never been a natural finisher. I know he got 33 goals or 34 goals last season, but reality is he should have had 64. You know what I mean? Let's be perfectly honest. So he's not a natural striker. I don't think he threw the dummy out the pram. I genuinely don't. I just think the team, as in general, have just not played. And I think you'd be difficult to get players above a 6. Yeah. You know, teams that win championships, you've got probably people in at 8s and 9s. Yeah. Celtic have not had that this year. And it's just unfortunate that they've had a lot of injuries, but they've had a lot of players off for them. And you need your team. That's why it's a team, to win the games and to win trophies. I just think Maeda, they start the game at the Saturday. So when the crowd are back in, you're getting that noise up. Kevin's talking about simple things, getting a tackle in, going and closing the goalkeeper, going and closing the centre back. And that may be the difference, Paul. You get a corner out or whatever, the ball comes in the box and the ball ends up in the back of the net. That could be the difference. And at this period, I'm looking through all the fixtures and I keep going through them all. Celtic have struggled against every single one of them. You know, as I say, where's there been an easy game for Rangers? Rangers are the ones that scoring the most goals. Hearts have won 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Rangers have been scoring 4s. So that tells you where they've came from with the goal scoring exploits. They're not playing as well, but they're winning. And that's just what it's all about at this period.
Kevin, Rangers are kind of the form team, aren't they? Out of 3 teams that at the moment are not particularly on championship winning form. Hearts top of the table, Rangers second, scoring the goals, because goal difference could well be the deciding factor on the last day.
The thing is with Hearts struggled there in the middle part because they obviously lost Shankland. Celtic haven't had a consistent goal scorer all season, whereas Rangers have so many options in terms of goal scorers, and they've got Chermiti misses probably more than he scores, but he scored in big games and big moments. Miovski, who has been up and down all season, comes on at the weekend, scores. Gassama, Asgard, look at Asgard. Asgard's been out of the picture for about, came on great shot that led to the goal for the first one, and then eventually scores himself.
Sure.
And you're sitting there thinking, well, they've got players all around the park that can score goals. If you're looking at the goals now, Celtic's got 58 goals, Rangers have got 60 with the most goals scored. But 4 of those were from Saturday, so that Celtic have scored probably more goals than most. But it's just, I just think that Rangers concede every game. I think I don't see Rangers ever winning 2-0 because there is a mistake or two in the back line. But when, like Peter will tell you, when you're outscoring teams, you're always going to win more games.
That was the way they played at Celtic, wasn't it? And for Rangers, who cares if they keep winning? Because
Rangers won't mind losing 3 goals because they'll score 4.
Exactly.
And that's got to be the mindset.
Gary is a Newcastle fan. If we were an English station, we'd be saying, "Oh, Gary, que pasa?" But Celtic as well. So,
Gary, I've just got to say, I was going to say, Gary, it's been a tough time for you this year with the Tyne and Weir derby.
But do you know what? I've not even got any comeback for it because we didn't deserve to win either one in today.
No, I would agree with that.
Sure. Oh, Gary, that was a wee bit cruel. I knew that. That's some rivalry as well, isn't it?
Oh, that's amazing.
Tyne and Weir.
That's
2
amazing.
great cities.
Oh, amazing.
Gary, who's going to win the title? Is that a daft question? Are you going to say you're going to sing a Celtic song, or are you? What do you?
I mean,
or the Hearts, Glorious Hearts, or a Rangers song?
It's definitely not the last one, but like it's more. Listen, the running's probably more favourable for Celtic in terms of obviously having the 4 home games, and if we take care of the 4 home games, then I think that should probably be enough. But for me, I still think Rangers are favourites, and I still think, like the guy said, I think they're still scoring more than they're letting in, which is obviously a worry. But for us, as Peter says, if we can get Celtic Park full, now that they've got the Green Brigade back, hopefully getting the stadium full, and Saturday will be telling massively, because if we get an early goal and go on and win the game comfortably, it could be the start of something. It could signal the start of something. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I did allow myself a slight moment when I heard the Green Brigade were back in, and then seeing the stats and seeing the fixtures and seeing what was in front of us. And that's what Callum McGregor's got to be. McGregor and the boys have got to be looking at that, saying, we know what's in front of us, we know what we need to do, and we need to go out and do it. So, as I say, it's going to be a tasty finish. And
Gary, it sure is.
I think we'll win it, but I hope we do.
Gary, thank you so much. Susie was listening in saying, enjoying Gary's call, sounding great in the sunshine this afternoon. Brilliant call from Gary. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Gary. 0808 17 17 700. We're talking Rangers next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
0808 17 17 700. We're going back on the line now. James is on from Govan. Hi, James, a Rangers fan. Good evening.
How you doing? You all right?
Hi, good, James. How are you? What about these fixtures? What do you make of it?
Oh, they're crackers. They're crackers. But first, I'd like to say, Paul, I mean, Alan McCoy's making that point. There is a lot of talk in Glasgow that, that the SFA, they listen to Celtic a bit more. And, see if we actually see that, we actually think that, we need to call that out, and it's okay, taking a point that Peter says that, it's okay. A couple of weeks ago, McInnes thought it was all right that Celtic played last. And a couple of weeks ago, Rangers thought it's all right because they were playing last and it suited them then. So, but the reason it suited us then is because those decisions were made last year at the beginning of the season. Somebody sat down and made all these decisions for the last 6 games. Somebody sat down and made the decisions a week ago. So that's why we're moaning about it. That's why we think somebody sat down and says, right, Celtic, you can play all your games first and let all the other teams play catch up. It's not the fact that we're spitting the dummy out. It's the fact that that decision was made last week. That decision wasn't made last June when we just kicked off the league. So it's got nothing to do with spitting our dummy. It's about to calling out something that we think is wayward. It's the same as we want all referees to say what team they support before they kick off a game. That's the problem.
James, I just don't agree with you, honestly, because obviously Rangers last season and next season will have 3 home games after the split. So this year it was going to be the other way around. So we all knew that. The timing of it, TV will come into quite a lot of this, but there's nobody there. I think Celtic were strong at the SFA in those years when Celtic were doing really well and your club was struggling. It was on the way back. There was turmoil in the boardroom. People were putting a lot of money into the club, a few key individuals. But do you know what I mean? Your club, it was in turmoil for year after year. So probably Celtic were strong. Well, they were stronger on the field and probably off it as well. And maybe they did have more influence. But I think to suggest they've got undue influence at the SFA, I just don't see it. I can't see any evidence.
The only thing I would say to James is, I'm a great believer that in this part of the season, that all the time everybody should kick off at the same time. Sky maybe not giving that platform. He's saying, well, there's 3 games, but they're all kicking off at the same time. You can get it that station, or that station. In the ideal world, that's what I think it should be for the last 5 for everybody. That's the point I'm making. I'm not saying anybody should be having any favouritism in this period after Saturday comes, this weekend comes.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Peter.
And that's what I think James should. I definitely think that should happen every year. Unfortunately, they do dictate. And Celtic have been out of Europe for a long time now. But the fixtures have come back out again during the period. Celtic could have been dead and buried by now with the way the fixtures were. Because it's ironic, Hearts have not won a game that they've played either the middle one or the last one. They've lost 2 of them and drew 1. And that's only 3 times that they've played after Celtic or Rangers.
It's the SPFL, of course. Do you think there's a bias in favour of your old club?
I wish there was. Because I'd have a lot more more championship medals.
Wow.
And remember George Cadetti as well. Was that 5-6 weeks they kept? Was that George for no playing?
That was the SFA then who it was then found to be.
But that's what I'm saying. But there
was no
when they phoned Tony Mowbray on Monday morning and said we should have 3 penalties after Ibrox. So we could all get into it. If I'm a Celtic supporter, I'm going to be on Celtic side. Sure. And James is 100% right to fight with Rangers. But I think in the last 5 games, everybody should be kicking off at the same time.
Kevin, what would you say?
I agree with Peter in terms of they had an opportunity, knowing how close this is, last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever they decided to say, right, it's so important that these teams all kick off at the same time because of had Celtic or say had Rangers been 10 points clear and Celtic were 6 points behind them and Hearts were 3 points behind Celtic, whatever, then you can say, right, I can see why they are where they are. But the fact that there's 3 points separates these teams and they've decided to put one team on a Saturday night at 5:30, one team on a Sunday at 12:30 and one team on a Monday at think about this. I know it's a bank holiday Monday that with the Rangers Hearts game. But 5 o'clock at Edinburgh.
Sure.
Hearts have already dropped the allocation for most away teams. So how many Rangers fans are going to get through there to support the team in a huge game? The magnitude, that feels like that's favouring Hearts. So there's an argument there to say, right, do I believe the SFA or the SPFL are making a biased decision? I'm going to be honest with this and say I don't actually know, because some of the decisions they have made over the years, even regarding maybe likes of the Rangers scenarios 13, 14 years ago, even some of the one Peter talks about with George Cadetti and other things, the decision making sometimes baffles you. So you can't rule out there may be something. I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying I wouldn't like to think there is, but I think they've got a huge error in terms of the timings, and I also believe that Hearts deserved to have a home game the last day of the season.
Because they go into the top.
It's not because they go into the top, Paul, because the season that they've gave their fans, I think, has credited the opportunity, whether they win the league in the last day or they don't win the league, to say thank you, what a season we've had. Because even if they finish second or third and lose it by 2 points, 3 points, I think they've had that right. But then if we go back to Helicopter Sunday, both Celtic and Rangers were away that day. Celtic away to Motherwell, Fir Park, and Rangers away to Hibs at Easter Road. So nobody moaned then. So I think what's happening is because it is so close and it is so tight. I would ask the caller, like 6 months ago when Rangers were 12 points behind Celtic or 15 points behind Hearts, would you have seen the Rangers in this position? It's because now they're in this position, you're like, right, okay. The reality is whoever wins their games wins the league, and it shouldn't matter whether at home or whether away, because the best teams will win the games and the best team will win the league.
And James, I heard you saying you agree with Peter, they should start at the same time.
No, 100%. I mean, it's no right that the SFA don't do enough to make sure that we all see that they're doing the line, they're doing the centre of the road. They don't go out their way The full history of Rangers having, players know what to play for the SFA because it's Scotland and you've got your Duncan Ferguson carry on, you've got Pat Lally was on the board, the Lord Provost. And
he wasn't on the board.
You know what I mean? And see, to be honest with you, the SFA should put that to bed. But what Peter said there, every single team in the last six games should be made to kick off the same time. Irrespective of Sky, say to Sky, listen, during the season, up to the split, fill your boots. Tell us what you want.
No, I agree with James. I agree with on that, James, because then all of a sudden you're looking at it. I don't think the fixtures could be any other way. I'm looking through that myself when you're saying could Falkirk have played Hearts, Celtic on the last day and Hearts played them the first one. It's impossible because then you've got Hibs, Hearts and Rangers. That's their next 3 games then.
But to be fair to Sky, and I'm no apologist for Sky, there's not nearly enough money on the table. And actually, the SPFL should be getting more money for the Scottish game. It's a pittance compared to England. And I know we're not England, but Sky will be saying, we want audiences. We need to be people there to watch these games. And if they're all at the same time, then they're not going to get the same audience.
But I'm talking about this year, Paul. You'll have the audiences there this year at the games. Sure. You'll have the audience at the games. This last 5 games, forget about Saturday. I'm only taking this out because somebody could be out that picture become the weekend. I'm just talking about the last 5 fixtures. If everybody wins at the weekend, the last 5 fixtures, for me, you could have went, this is on Sky 1, this is on Sky 2, this is on Sky 3, this is where we're going to do it, whether it's England or not, because this is the most exciting Scottish football has been for a long time, as in on these last few
and they're trying
fixtures.
to maximise it by getting everyone watching whatever the game is, the Hearts game, the Rangers game,
but you can
the
have
Celtic
all that,
game.
You can have all that. You've got games up in the corner coming on and telling this is happening over here. You can do all that. They do it in England. They do it in the Championship in England. Celtic and Rangers are light years ahead of the teams down south. And I'm talking about the big teams as well. Light years ahead with support. So you'll have people watching all over the world watching it. So it was a selling point in this one. There's no excuses for them not kicking off at the same time.
The 3 teams, Peter, Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, should all be... None of them should have been playing each other on the last day of the season.
I agree. And I'm looking at the fixture to see what you can manage it.
Whatever happens amongst these fixtures, right, we could end up with a position where Rangers could win the league by beating Falkirk on the last day. Celtic may be out of it. And Hearts just need a point or 3 points to win the league.
At Celtic.
At Celtic Park.
I know they get 800 or 1,000 or whatever it is.
So
I'm
at
not
Celtic,
sure exactly.
so say Hearts need a point on the last day of the season to win the title, and Celtic are out of it.
There's going to be conspiracy theory again.
Of course it is. So what they've done is they've set themselves up for this. Whereas what we could have had was we could have had Celtic versus Falkirk, we could have had Rangers versus Hibs, we could have had Hearts versus Motherwell on the last day of the season, all kicking off at 3:00. Sky Sports football, Sky Sports main event, Sky Sports whatever it is, and flick round. Remember when Man City played Cardiff, Manchester United played Sunderland. Fergie thinks he's won the title at Stadium of Light.
Aguero!
And then Aguero happens. James. Imagine that. Imagine Scottish football having that moment for us. That's where we go from maybe £30 million as a TV deal to 60, 70, 80 because people go, wow. Because recently, Paul, if you're going to be honest about it, there's been too many games on that Sky Sports and English football top flight that have been really, really dire to watch. And there's been weekends where the Scottish Premier League has been entertaining, it's been gripping. If you look at the Old Firm, take away the trouble, but that gripped the whole country, the whole nation because of what happened. And people enjoyed that, and people started tuning into Scottish football for that. But we've sold ourselves short by the way we've done this last game of the season.
James, final word to you. You're going to win the title, despite all this. What do you think?
Well, I think the Rangers fans are, including me, are kind of too scared to
go on, say it, James. Go on and say it, please.
One thing I'd like to say, Paul, Rangers and Celtic should pull their horns after head and get together and just tell the SFA, SPL, we're not selling your products until we can sell your products, until the TV rights start paying the right money. Refuse to work, refuse to let the cameras into your game for one season, then we'll see how that goes, because we're underselling your product.
James, I couldn't put it better myself. Thank you for that. The news is next and then we're back.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Well, a lively first hour, I think you'll agree. Kevin Kyle, Peter Grant, 0808 17 17 700. Conspiracy theories running amok in Scotland. Nothing changes really, does it?
Never has, Paul.
Who is going to win the title? Some of the headlines tonight. Well, the Green Brigade, the Ultras, will return to Celtic Park from this weekend after reaching an agreement with the club. They've been out for, a couple of months. James Tavernier in Football Insider, we said this a couple of months ago, he's unlikely to be at Rangers next season. Kevin, what do you think? He is on the bench at times. Rangers top scorer this season. What a servant he's been, but it doesn't look as though he's going to have a contract for next season under Danny Rule.
Listen, all good things come to an end.
Right. Yeah.
That's the reality. James Tavernier, for me, has been an excellent addition to the Rangers squad over the years. Contributed to the amount of goals and assists. The one thing that would probably not stand is the amount of trophies Rangers fans would like to see him win as a captain. But that obviously not his fault individually, because it's a collective as a team to try and win these things. So for me, listen, I think would that be 9 years or 10 years or just shy of 10 years?
That's right. There's a testimonial's been mentioned, but hasn't happened. So I
think the reality is, if you're going to be honest, James Tavernier has probably split the opinion of some Rangers supporters. People who get 10 years, your Sandy Jardins and guys in the past, they've been proper legends where they've been loved from day one and had an unbelievable. James Tavernier's been that guy that scored a lot of goals, but has also split opinions of some Rangers fans in terms of his maybe ability to defend, as he's good a defender as he is going forward. So maybe that's the reason why. But listen, James Tavernier for me will go down as one of an important player in the years that Rangers took to get back to where they are at this moment in time, because the amount of goals he scored. I think he's the highest scoring defender in
the world.
No, I'm not going to say world football, but it's in terms of
in Europe or in Britain. You're absolutely right. I mean, he's top scorer, we know, for Rangers, 14 goals this season. But you're absolutely right. He scored so many goals.
There's my conspiracy theory.
Oh, right.
Half of them are penalties.
Hey, on the line now, Paul, a Rangers fan. Hi, Paul. Good evening. Paul, good evening.
Hi, guys.
Evening, Paul. Evening, Paul.
So, Paul, let me just say to you, and James Tavernier, I know in the past you've been critical of him, but it looks as though he is going to go in the summer. Still a lot of football to be played between now and then, but what would you say to James as he leaves then in a couple of months' time?
Oh, Paul, I know I've been critical of him, but look, I do agree with some Rangers fans that you'll miss him when you miss the goals and everything else, but I've always built my own opinions on his leadership and everything else, but he goes my best wishes. I think he's given 10 years or so to Rangers Football Club, so any Rangers player that's been with the club, Kevin included, Kevin.
So there you are, Kevin.
Still part of the Rangers family.
Yeah,
still part of the Rangers family too. It's on a journey and everything else, Paul. So definitely.
Okay, cool.
But my question tonight, I see what Peter and Kevin think.
Okay.
I phoned in the show, Paul, as you know. I phoned in quite regularly.
Go for it. Yeah.
I know you all, but I phoned in after the Scottish Cup debacle, and I think I was talking to Mark Greedy, to be honest. I know Mark's not there to defend himself, but I'm not asking him to. But I made a statement. There was that debate about the Rangers fans to get into the last game against Celtic, which is now clarified because they will do.
Yeah, sure.
But
that's
Mark had said they probably need to be banned because, and I was told on the show that I was taking football over fans, is what I think the statement was said.
Right.
But I hear now that the Green Brigade are allowed back into Celtic Park. An elephant, that's not going to win in the league or anything, I'm not debating about that. But you can tell me if I'm wrong here. I think they were banned because of the safety incident at Celtic Park. So is Celtic taking safety over football now?
Are they what? What's your point there? What did you say?
Well,
are Celtic what?
If they were banned and allowed back in, they were banned because of safety incidents. That's the official statement by Celtic.
All right, so sure. There are some assurances there. All right, okay. I'm not a huge fan of, of course it's a free country, you can say what you like, Paul, but, my dad's bigger than your dad is. Doesn't take us very far, really. Look, the Green Brigade have been out for a couple of months. They're back in. There are some, it's not sanctions around it, but this agreement has been made and they have to abide by the laws around it. So, and let's hope that's what happens. And I mean, the debacle at the end of the game was on both sides, wasn't it? It was the Celtic fans who'd spilled on to the Ibrox pitch, which they shouldn't have done. And then some of the Rangers fans coming over towards them. I'm a Celtic official, allegedly, we have to watch because of legal things, was attacked. So it wasn't a great day, not one we want to go on about, Paul, because we could go on and on and on about it.
I would just love both sets of supporters to be allowed into the away games.
Aye.
The big numbers.
And the Rangers fans are coming in.
But that's what I'm saying. But you've seen the atmosphere take away obviously the penalty kick, and take that away, and I know we can't, but I think the atmosphere was the best it's been for many a year. And I've played there when we'd half the main stand and behind the goal, and there was always a little bit of trouble here, there, and everywhere. That was always part of the gig when you're part of Celtic or Rangers fans, you know. So I understand that. But also played at Celtic Park, and there's 18,000 Rangers supporters, and what a difference that makes. And I'm all for the supporters, but yes, of course, I want them to behave. And there's certain things they do that on both sides, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
You know, there's no getting away from that. But having both sets of supporters in to support their team, and because it's no use being critical of Celtic and Rangers. I'm talking about Hearts, why they don't allow Celtic in and Rangers supporters in, why Hibs don't do it.
And they've got empty spaces.
But you see Livingston at the weekend, with Hearts supporters, three sides, it's phenomenal. We're mis-selling the game, but it's not even that, Paul. These clubs can't sell seats. And you've got polythene over them, saying that Celtic Rangers fans can't get in there, which is ridiculous. So I think the Celtic Rangers fans should get equal numbers at both stadiums. Yes, I know there were safety issues, of course, I understand that. Yes, and there's certain things that happen. I agree 100% that shouldn't happen on both sides. You know, there's no getting away from that. But let me tell you, it makes a hell of a difference to the game.
Of course it does. I'd love to know what the policing and stewarding report is at the end of that, the honest assessment of why, you can tell the way it went to right at the end. So the away team, whatever it is, the supporters, and the outcome of it, if Celtic were to win, then, at the home of Rangers, get the police out earlier and get more stewards there, whatever. And I don't think they were. Look, we'll maybe find out in time what happened. And then people are having a go at both ends of fans. They're having a go at each other.
Listen, if you remember, Paul, nobody spoke about it.
Yep.
The Rangers fans spilled on. Remember the goal that was chopped off?
That's right. Sure.
They were on at the side of the pitch. It was because they all
exuberance.
Exactly.
I know.
They never went, obviously, their gesture, maybe Celtic fans in the distance.
Okay.
But that's fine. But they all run on when they shouldn't go on the pitch, either side of the pitch, but they did.
Sure. I know.
You know, that happens, especially when you have no barriers.
Yep.
We understand that. But in that particular fixture, what are you going to do if you have no barriers? You're going to make sure stewards are strong enough, the police are strong enough that, hey, anything happens here, you can't go on the pitch.
They were kind of caught unawares is what it looked like. But look, I'm not an expert on it. But having watched it for years, for decades, the police were used to this and how to control the crowd. And I think on the day, that there were obviously shortcomings there.
I would agree with you, Paul. I think that in the past, before the allocations got cut, they knew that twice a year at Parkhead and twice a year at Ibrox, you'd have this big number. The Celtic fans would take over the Brimley Road end, and vice versa, the Rangers fans. Because it hasn't happened for so long, and this was the first time, I think the police and the stewarding were just eyes were taken off the ball.
That's it.
I don't agree with what happened after the game, but
not.
I can totally understand from a Celtic's perspective spilling onto the park because you've just beat your greatest rivals at their home ground. I understand the goal to get chalked off. Rangers fans spilled on. I get that because they're excited, think they're going to win. I've seen Celtic do it at Kilmarnock. There was no trouble. Didn't see any Kilmarnock fans chasing. It happens. They're football fans. They're human. But the things that Celtic maybe did in the what do you call it? The stand. I don't agree with. Wrecking toilets and things like that. I don't agree
horrible.
with. I don't agree with that at all. But I think we need to get back to having the fans back in and just prepare the police better. Had the police just lined up in front of the Celtic fans,
it's the deterrent.
That would have been it. Yeah. There wouldn't have been anybody running the park.
And are they paying enough for it? And the police should come out and say, if they're not, if the clubs are not,
if the clubs need to pay more, then they should pay more for it. And that's how it should be. And I think it's a win-win for both, because what ends up happening is more fans get to experience something that only happens 4 times a year potentially. And it's an unbelievable experience.
But also the fact is, the stewards that come in, I'm not being disrespectful in any shape or form. They get bussed in.
I know.
They're not, I don't think personally, and I personally don't think they're trained. And would I put my face in front of somebody? Absolutely not.
I get it.
Absolutely not. If that's not my job, I'm not getting a sore one because of that. On you go, pal. And that's the way I do it. And I would like both sets of supporters because I think it's only fair and it's better for Scottish football. You know, when the noise is there and the atmosphere, everybody talks about it as one of the greatest games. And I remember Graham Souness and God rest him, Ray Wilkins saying the same thing. They'd played in Italian derbies. Ray played in AC Inter. And I remember speaking to him and he said to me, no, this is a bigger fixture. And I found that incredible.
Bigger than AC and Inter.
Yes. He thought the atmosphere was completely different. And that was the time you were talking about when you had 18,000 Rangers supporters at Celtic Park. So all these things, And we can't lose that because we've lost a hell of a lot of other things.
Yep.
You know, so we try to sell football. Of course we do. Yes, we want safety for sure. Yes, we don't want things, as Kevin spoke about, off the pitch and behind the stand and whatever.
Yep.
We understand all these things. But football-wise, the Celtic and Rangers fans should be allowed at full allocations to all away grounds. That's my opinion.
Because there's too many politicians and others who, puff their chests and say, "Oh, ban opposition fans from Rangers and from Celtic and all the rest of it." They're never in a football ground. It's the sport of the nation, and we need to police it better, and we need to behave better in general. Paul, what about, is this a tactic though? Let's move away from that for a moment. I'm going to move on. I think Dave's coming up next. Let me know, Rory, if he's there. Because nobody at Rangers fans are not saying, "Oh, we're going to win the title." So, Paul, what's your striking partnership this weekend? I see there's an issue about Nadiri. They're awaiting a scan result on the injury. He went off at half-time, as you know, after scoring. What are you thinking up front?
I'm hoping that he's back, Paul. Hopefully it's not too serious. But I'm not one of these Rangers fans who is worried. You know, I mean, the fixtures are what they are. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like that when you do a split. I don't think there's any unfair advantage, if I'm being honest with you. I think it could have been worse for Rangers. We could have been away to Motherwell or Hibs.
Sure.
I'm not saying Falkirk are bad, but I'd rather have Falkirk away.
John McGlynn might be listening. All right.
And listen, it will be tough. I'm not saying it won't, but I just feel on paper it'll be the easier one. And I'm hoping Falkirk kind of takes it off the pedal to in top six.
All right. Paul, thanks a million. I need to move on. Dave has been waiting for a while. Thank you for your call. 0808 17 17 700. Hi, Dave. Good evening.
Hi, Paul. How you doing? Hi, Peter. Hi, Kev.
Hi, Dave.
Hi.
Good, thanks. Talking football. What are you thinking?
Hi. Well, there's just some classic stuff coming out just now. I mean, there was a guy on the phone earlier saying that they didn't make this draw at the start of the season. They've only made it this week. Well, at the start of the season, they didn't know what the top six was.
Yeah, sure.
So,
yep.
No, fair point.
Probably due to Aberdeen and Livingston in the top six. You just didn't know what was coming. So that's that one nailed.
Yep.
The guy was on about the games kicking off at different times. I'm old enough to remember back in I'm sure it was the 1970s. There was a World Cup group game, and the last game of the group was Germany v Austria, and the other two had played before them and finished. And Germany and Austria, if the game was a draw, they both qualified. And there wasn't a tackle or a 20-yard pass made in the game. It was like
I remember it.
They're still playing.
I remember it. They didn't come out each other's half.
Is that right?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I remember it, Dave.
Dave, I know conspiracies everywhere. Listen. What are you thinking about your team then, Celtic? Are you... Yeah.
We'll win the league. We will win this league even now. I've never said anything else.
Are you related to Martin O'Neill?
I took his hand last month and Craig Newton, but I'm not related to him.
All right, was it a good night? Yeah. And now listen, there's a magic about Martin O'Neill, isn't there? And despite the lack of resources there and players, I mean, when you look at the squad compared to, let's say, 2 years ago, it is night and day, isn't it?
Yeah, look at what he had 20 years ago when he was managing as well. I mean, that's another night and day. But we're still good enough to win the league. If Hearts win the league at Celtic Park in the last day of the season, Derek McInnes will be praising the Scottish Football League for having the best system in the world. And I mean, what they could do is they could go like the playoffs in England. The playoffs in England, when they get set up, the four teams are there, and it's two semi-finals and a final. And there have in the past been teams who finished in English leagues like 20 or 30 points behind the team in third place, and they've won the playoff and gone to the next.
Of course, the playoffs. Listen, see, on that last day of the season, Celtic against Hearts, 12:30 kickoff, Rangers playing at Falkirk. And Derek McInnes was asked today, could you get more places for the Hearts fans at Celtic?
The way the league is just now with 6 games to go, I think it's more likely to go to the last game than not, to be honest. Celtic have give us what we give every away team out with Rangers, I think, now, that understanding that they've got. So, I think it'd be difficult for that to be the case, but who knows, maybe nearer the time there might be a conversation, but I would doubt that.
Kevin, I heard what you said. If Celtic fall away, and I mean a lot of Celtic fans like Peter 10 days ago thought after Dundee United, that's it, think about the cup. Would you give the Hearts, do you think a deal could be done to give Hearts more? So if Celtic are out of it, give the Hearts some more tickets.
That would be a nice gesture.
Yep.
Do you think that would happen? I don't think so. I don't think Celtic would like either Rangers or Hearts to win the title for obvious reasons. But if we get to that point where Celtic are out of it, potentially, and it is between Hearts and Rangers, and Hearts need a point or 3 points. Maybe the week before Celtic made it, because I'm presuming, Peter, that tickets are organised maybe a week or 2 weeks in advance, or maybe even further afield.
And it's season tickets as well.
But also then there'd be a conspiracy theory. They wanted more Hearts fans in, so Rangers couldn't win the league. So there'd be all that scenario. It wouldn't happen. No chance. No chance it happen. Hearts should get the tickets that they give Celtic, which is nothing. So they should. That's the way they should finish.
That's a great point, mind you. Yeah.
No, they shouldn't.
So does Celtic not get any tickets at Tynecastle?
600 or something.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
800, 600.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then they did it with Rangers last year. They do it with both of them. And then you look at Sky and you see the gaps, Kevin. It's madness. It's loss of revenue, and it's also, it doesn't look
Hibs
good.
are the same.
Yeah,
Paul,
I know.
Hibs are the exact same. I just find it incredible they're allowed to do it. And that's why you've got to tip your hat to Livingston. They're thinking to themselves, well, we've got to make money. Who's the best supported teams? Rangers and Celtic. They can have the 3 of them.
Right, what about the 3 games this weekend then, before Dave goes? What's your Celtic team, Peter? And I know I'm just throwing it at you. So obviously Sinisalo, does Sarachi come in? I'm just trying to think of some of the key positions.
For me, I'm a big Kieran Tierney fan,
I know you are.
but I would play Sarachi because I think he sparks the team at this moment in time. I thought he was playing really well when he was left out of the team. As I say, I'm a big fan of Kieran, but I think Sarachi at this moment in time, he plays with that energy. It lifts the support. He puts crosses in the box, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. It puts the opposition under pressure. I'd play Sarachi, Scales, Trusty, and I think it's Donovan at this moment because Tony's not played as many games, so Donovan would play in there. I would go McGregor, Hatate, and Nigrin.
Hatate back in, who sat on the bench of the weekend.
And this is going to be the interesting one for me because I'd go with Yang one side. I would bring Tunekti back in at Celtic Park because see when he plays with Sarachi, he looks a different player.
Okay.
And I would play Maid up the front to go and chase and put St Mirren under pressure. That's where I would play him, even though I don't think he's a centre forward, but I think he's got energy. Then that would give you an Iacho
on the bench
to come on because I think if it's not going well for you, I still think he can bring you that quality. If he's got to take him off at an important time, I think it's too late then. Whereas Maida could go out left then and he could go through the middle, all these things.
Dave, what do you think of that Celtic lineup?
I agree with Peter. I'm a great fan of Kieran Tierney as well. But I've got to be honest, I also believe if somebody gets the shirt through injury, suspension or whatever to another player and they put in a performance, there's no real need to drop him immediately and let the other guy back in. I think he should, wait his turn and win the shirt back rather than just be given it automatically.
That's a good point.
Kevin, what do you make of that?
I think Sarachi has been really unlucky in terms of the amount of game time he's had received because I think he's a hell of a player. I think Celtic need to be looking at options, maybe bringing him in on a permanent.
Would you sign him?
I definitely would. 100%. I think he just comes home. Kieran Tierney for me is I think he's outstanding, but obviously there is that question mark around his fitness levels in terms of he seems to see out 60, 65 minutes of the game, and then. But there's been recent games recently where he has managed to get through the full game and been integral in terms of, I think he scored up at Aberdeen and then he missed an opportunity the week later that he probably should have scored against Dundee United.
A few assists as well.
A few assists, puts in good balls at the box. But the reality is at this minute in time, Celtic don't have that type of striker that's taking crosses coming in from the box from a Tierney in terms of the wide position. So Sarachi might just be an option to give Kieran Tierney maybe a bit of a rest because if you reverse the roles, Tierney coming on for Sarachi isn't a bad sub, just as Sarachi coming on for Tierney isn't a bad situation. But the team that Peter's obviously announced there, I think that would be for me the most capable team that Celtic would have to beat St Mirren at home on Saturday.
And I want your Rangers team shortly after the break. Dave, what would you do up front? Chavanchara, disappointing at the weekend. Where was he at the Dundee United game the other week? I think he was out. There was something wrong just beforehand. He pulled out the squad. He wasn't available, I think. But he got in positions at the weekend. What would you do with Chavanchara?
I think there's been games he's actually been on the park. We didn't know where he was, to be honest.
I know the feeling.
All right.
I've been there.
Junior Adamu, is he still there? Anyway,
he just scored the goal and came on and did the job. So I mean, again, I'd probably give him the shirt. I mean, in the last 2 or 3 games, Chavanchara's missed probably 6, 8, 9 very, very good chances. I mean, Martin sort of alluded to at the weekend, but we need to get chances, and we do. And Ian Archer just now, he's been unlucky with injury, but he certainly did it last week. So let's give him a shot this week and see what happens.
Dave, thanks so much for your call.
Dave.
Remember, tomorrow night on the programme, Willie Hockey will be here, Lord Hockey will be with us, and he'll update us on his initiative, which he announced last month, trying to bring fans together on his Celtic Season Ticket Alliance. That's tomorrow night, just after 5. Looking forward to that.
Perfect timing, Paul, because that's what you're trying to do this weekend, is bring them together to go and support Celtic Football Club to hopefully another title.
Rangers team for the weekend. That's coming next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Looking forward to later tonight, Champions League. Kevin, you love it as well. So Liverpool, what a game for them over in Paris Saint-Germain. And even the captain was saying at the weekend, we kind of chucked it. I'm just saying what Virgil van Dijk said against Man City.
I like his honesty, but it doesn't really help the Liverpool fans in the situation they're in, trying to fight for that European place. But Liverpool, league form-wise, not great, but in the Champions League, they seem to just have that wee bit extra that seems to get them through. So tonight against PSG is super difficult because PSG have shown this season that they're some side in European football. So I don't know what to expect, but I think going by form, I think PSG would be comfortable winners. But you just don't know what Liverpool turns up. Peter, I know he didn't say he chucked it. He didn't actually say those words because I think he lived in the West End when he was at Celtic.
But it wasn't far off it, Paul.
Yeah, and I quite liked the honesty. How did you feel?
I just felt for the manager a little bit. Because if you've got players out there, I mean, the one thing I'm sure I've always said, and I've tried to back players on it, that players, the supporters come on and say players don't try or couldn't care. No. When you hear that fuels it. For me, I've never played with a player that's never tried. You maybe have a poor game and the team's played poorly, but I don't like when players say that because I'd be the first thing I'd be saying to Virgil van Dijk, if he was my captain, I'd be straight at him saying, who are you talking about? Name them.
Yeah.
Name them. Sure. If you name them, and I used to do that with the managers, if the manager says you don't care or whatever, the great Tommy Burns used to laugh all the time. Because any time he said that, I went like, well, name us. Name who you mean. I said, you can turn around and tell me I played poorly, but name me. Because if you're throwing it out there as if, we didn't, and I think it's a terrible thing to get through it. I'd have been fuming with Virgil van Dijk, but everybody around you would have been fuming with him because I'd have told the press as well, I disagree with Virgil, I didn't play well today, but I didn't chuck it. That's for sure.
Are they going to win tonight to take a lead back? They're not. Okay. Barca against Madrid, the Atletico version. So
two teams I love watching, believe it or not, because they're two different types. Sure. Two different types. What Simone's done with Atletico Madrid's phenomenal. I love watching Barcelona. They've got the individuals that can turn games, but people talk about how good a football side they are. But let me tell you, they can fight and scratch as well. All the footballers are strong. They can take a kick. They go on with it, but they all can play. That's a really intriguing one, that one, Paul. I couldn't call that one.
Really? So who's going to win?
Does that mean a draw? Over the two, I'll take Barcelona just.
Barca. What do you think?
I don't know. I think this season, if you look at some of the Atletico Madrid results, they've had some really good positive results, but there's been games where they've been hammered. So Barcelona's got that potential to give them a bit of a doing, but the fact it's a Spanish game, no, it's not Spanish derby, but it's two Spanish teams.
Right,
And Simeone, for me, every season he gets to this point in the Champions League, he's always just come up shy. And every season you hope that can he get to the final, can he? Because I think whoever beats Barcelona, whoever can put out PSG and possibly Arsenal, one of those will win it. But for me, I think, like Peter says, it could be the defensive record of Atletico Madrid could halt Barca, but Barca score goals, so it could be anything tonight.
What about Harry Kane last night? Is that 54 goals for Bayern and England this season? What a striker. Is there no Scottish blood in there? Is it a relative we could try and get in?
Kane. No.
Amazing, he's the best striker in world football.
Yes.
I think.
Right, okay.
Absolutely. I always judge strikers, Kevin may be slightly different, anybody can finish on their first touch. And Kevin said something earlier on when we were talking. When the ball dropped him, you knew what he was doing. They knew where the ball was going to end up. And that's the difference between top strikers. They only need that one opportunity. And they, as I say, they can finish off their first touch. And he does it remarkably well. For me, he's the best striker in world football.
Kevin, best in the world?
It's just how, in terms of striking, definitely. In terms of how he strikes the ball and the different types of finishes that he brings to the game, he's got a little bit of everything. For somebody that's maybe, I would say Harry Kane would probably be 6'1".
Yeah.
But he's got nice feet, he holds the ball up well, he sees that pass, he pings things into top corners, he caresses balls into bottom corners, he scores headers, he scores near. He's just got that I don't know. It just seems so natural, like, and so.
And you know the thing was, Paul, I watched him a lot when he was young. When I was at West Ham and used to go along to their training ground to watch the reserve games and whatever. And he was more like a Teddy Sheringham type of player, believe it or not. He was more that type. He played the number 10, but he was always big. And if he went out to Norwich, I think he got an injury at Norwich and had to go back. But at Leicester, believe it or not, Leicester's bench, Harry Kane and Jamie Vardy couldn't get a game. Couldn't get a game. Both of them were on the bench together for Leicester. Quite incredible. And then he went back. Incredible. And he thought at that particular time he wouldn't get in the Tottenham side. Then he went back there, and it just shows you the character he's got to play and do what he did for Tottenham in a so-called struggling team, and then to go to Bayern Munich and score the amount of goals he's done is quite incredible.
What a goal for Arsenal last night, in the sense that it looked as though it was going to be 0-0, but Kai Havertz, and maybe it's such an important goal for Mikel Arteta, former Rangers player, because it was beginning, the wheels almost coming off the wagon, but that could be a crucial goal.
It is a crucial game. It's the timing of the goal. And to be fair to Kai Havertz, the first touch is outstanding. It just sets it up for the pass into the bottom corner. Arsenal probably deserved the win in the night, but now they take it to Highbury, but that's old school.
That's right,
Take it back to the scored there. So
it's still there, isn't it?
I know, scored there.
Of course.
Back to the Emirates.
Took him an hour and a half together.
Back to the Emirates. I just think that Arsenal, could this be their year? Defensively, they're very strong.
Yeah, surely it's going to be there. Yeah. Peter, one of your old clubs, Dunfermline, big win last night against Ayr United. They're right on the verge now of the playoffs. They're going to be in there.
Delighted for them, delighted for Neil. He's done a fantastic job there, so absolutely delighted, and I'm hoping they can go all the way. You know, Mark Wilson's done phenomenal as well at Partick Thistle. The boys at Arbroath have done brilliant. So that top four, they deservedly in there with the results they've had over the season. You know, so it's St Johnstone. I'm really impressed with watching them. But unbelievable result for Dunfermline last night, because you've got to play games and you're doing a wee bit of catch up. We're talking the Premier League. When you've got games to catch up on, and they've got the cup, obviously, that's the one you've got to win. And Neil managed to do that last week, so I'm absolutely delighted for him.
Yeah, they're on 46 points, just one behind the Red Lichties of Arbroath. Partick Thistle on 60. And St Johnstone on 65. It's beginning to look like their title, but still a bit of football to go. What about Ayr, Kevin? They've I know you're a Stranraer man originally. They're now in 36 points, the same as Wraith Rovers. It's a pity the way they've gone off the boil. Jamie Murphy will be with us tomorrow night.
Ayer's been one of those teams this year that 1 minute they're in the playoffs, looking comfortable. The next minute they're now 6 points off Airdrie in second bottom. Is that right? So they're not completely out of the woods. They've had obviously a manager change, and they got a bit of a, I wouldn't say a bounce, but they get a draw at the weekend under John Rankin, and then they lost last night to Dunfermline. So they'll be worried because Airdrie I think Airdrie beat Ross County away from home at the weekend, 3 or 4. I can't remember. So Airdrie's looking above them rather than probably below them.
Momentum.
Aye, so you just don't know. You'd like to think that Ayr has a lot, and I'd like to see Ayr in that division, because I think over time they may have something to offer that division potentially going forward, because it would be good to have a Dundee derby, it's good to have the Edinburgh derby, it's good to have the Ayrshire derby, because
that's quite keen as well.
Ayer's obviously built the new stand. They've got, is it Graham Matthew, who's still the sporting director, who seems to be forward thinking. They've now got the training ground at the back of the stadium. So for me, there's a lot of potential there with Ayr. They just need to make sure they stay in the division and try and push forward next season.
Andy's on saying it's a good job for somebody. I know John Rankin's got it till the end of the season. But Peter, is that not one for you, United or Ross County? Look, I know Stuart Kettlewell's there at the moment, but Andy's come on saying, Peter, you should be managing one of these teams.
I'd love to in management, Paul. I've always said that. I've never had the fact that, but you need the opportunity. I've not had the opportunity since I left Dunfermline, so that's people's decision. You know I could do a good job. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I've got great faith in myself. I think you watch the teams that I managed, the way they play,
of course,
and try to win games. You know, games of football. Sometimes it happens for you, sometimes it doesn't. But nothing ever forced me to say I would never go back in a dugout. I loved the dugout, and I'd love the opportunity to be back managing again.
And Kevin, we're all proud of what Peter did down south. Manager at Norwich, assistant manager, assistant
I think
at
he said, what was
West
it,
Ham United.
26, 28 years.
20 years down
Fulham.
there.
That's a long
It
time.
does take, you're not a flash in the pan. It is strange, isn't it? But he doesn't, can I just say, he doesn't sort of put himself forward for it. It's strange, isn't it? Is there a kind of, mafia type.
I think I can see.
I don't mean mafia connotations, but just a group of people that
I can see where Peter comes.
Yeah.
He's not really said too much about. His only thing he said is he would love to be involved. He's not chasing something. If the right opportunity was presented with him, and you look at it, and I think any opportunity in the Scottish Football League, I think he'd probably jump at it because it gives him the opportunity to show what he can do, and you can work the leagues. That's how football works. But we still have this mentality in Scottish football, I believe, that when somebody loses a job in one team, they jump to the next team, and then they get that little merry-go-round of 3 or 4 teams, and then they disappear off the face of the earth. Sometimes I think that needs to drop, and sometimes I think there's also this. If we look at John McGlynn at Falkirk, an older manager, what he's been able to do. And he had to reinvent himself a little bit. At Hearts, he done well, but then he went and worked with Brendan Rodgers at Celtic and took a different approach to how he was going to set up. And now he's playing a style that he's learned, and it's different. Whereas we're too quick to write off older guys because we think, oh, he's 61, he's 70, he's a dinosaur, he can't do it. Celtic's brought back Martin O'Neill. Hadn't they brought back Martin O'Neill, Celtic wouldn't have been in the position they're in. So experience is sometimes better than obviously inexperienced, but having played the game as well, because there's a lot of guys now that haven't maybe played the game at a top level, or guys that maybe haven't played a football league game are getting opportunities because they've been. Look at the boy McLeish at
of course, Craig.
St Mirren. Craig, he's got an opportunity, and fair play to the guy, he's grasped it. So sometimes you just need an opportunity, you need a door to open, and sometimes it can come when you least expect it.
And also an agent actively pursue, because it is like, for many of us not actually in the game, you don't realise that agents also work for managers as well to try and get them the best possible position.
There's still in Albion jobs available. Alan Mayberry lost his job there. For me, that's an unbelievable opportunity there, because they've got a great stadium there at Forth Bank. The facilities and everything's amazing. They should be doing better than what they are doing. So there are jobs there. It's just, like you say, it's getting an opportunity. That's why I never ever put myself in the hat for these types of things. I don't think I ever had the capacity to keep getting rejected. So I just went, I just took the 2014 age group kids and quite enjoy that, man. Just nobody's going to sack me if you can do it 2014s, because I'm the secretary, the chairman, and the gaffer.
Is that right? And our next caller from Kindorit.
It's the missus that's on the phone.
If I said enough about Peter, you can tell I'm trying to get rid of him. I'm trying to get him.
Is it that bad? Is it that bad, Paul? Aye.
Well, I got dropped last week, you know what I mean?
Oh, so, you weren't dropped. We changed the night for him. Always a wee bit. No, listen, Peter, it's a pleasure and a privilege to work alongside you. So many great comments from people who are on, but you don't put yourself forward for it. But it is strange, and I don't mean a mafia like The Sopranos or something. Although Sopranos is back on. Is that HBO Max?
Yeah,
have you watched The Sopranos?
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
All these things, fantastic to watch. But listen, you learn on it off everything, Paul. Listen, I'm delighted that young boys got an opportunity as well. I'm not saying that in any shape or form. But I think being in the Premier League for 10 years, been to League Cup finals and won it, and FA Cup finals losing it. So all these things, international, good, bad, and different.
That's right.
Everyone's an experience, And as I've said before, if you put in your CV, if they're not knocking you back, on your talent and what you've done or what you've not done, fine. But I know the guys that get the job have not done quarter percent of that. So there's obviously a reason then. And that's my concern, especially up here.
Can I ask a question, Peter? See times when maybe you have put in a CV, have you ever had the feedback as to why you didn't maybe get? Because I always wonder that. People put in CVs all the time and nobody ever comes out and says, I didn't get an interview because they thought that I was this, this and this.
No, any time I've been offered a job, Kevin, I've been offered the job. As in the respect to would I come and have a meeting or whatever.
Right, with the owner.
Even down south, when they asked us a few times, I went with them, and that's fine. I mean, you were talking about some superstars in for the same job as me. I soon find out. So if you don't get them, they've invited you.
And the Norwich job, for example.
And then the Norwich job, there was a hell of a lot of top quality in. But I was at West Ham the day before I'd signed a 5-year contract, I think I'd said to you, Paul. And then I get the phone call saying that they wanted me to speak to Norwich because if anybody was possibly going to the Premier League or a Premier League team, I could go as manager, but I couldn't go as assistant. So that was wrote in the contract. And I spoke to Norwich, and I knew Delia and Michael because I'd been a player there for a few years. And then I obviously and Neil Doncaster was obviously there at the time.
Was he chief exec there?
Neil was there. And I got the Norwich job. And probably, as I said to you, that was probably the biggest mistake I ever made when I resigned from that. Because it was a fantastic club, fantastic support. But as you say, sometimes you make errors. And
a man of principle.
That was one of the biggest errors. But they were a fantastic club and fantastic people.
Was it a footballing thing?
Well, I was driving too far too often.
Of
and
course.
getting tired, Paul. And I had two young boys.
Of course.
And it wasn't great. You know, you're thinking to yourself, Norwich is not the easiest place. And
It's the hardest.
It was the only time I'd ever listened to Sir Alex Ferguson. And I wish I would have, because he said to me, you go to too many games to watch your opponent. But when you're in your first job as manager, you always feel as if, if I'm not doing it, they maybe not do it right.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing you can do. So my time management was awful, and I suffered for that. And I decided to resign from it. And to be fair to Delia and that at the time,
didn't want you to go.
No, they didn't want us to go. They said give it a couple of days, but I said no. I'd made my mind up, and that 2 days later it was the biggest mistake I made.
Oh, really? 2 days later.
Yeah, but you learn from it. You learn from it, and every job I've had. I mean, people talk about Dunfermline. We started the League Cup brilliant, then we went into the league, couldn't win, and I got a lot of criticism. Fine, that's life. If you don't win games of football, that's part of football. You don't win, you don't succeed. You're out the job. So I've no problem with that. But CV wise, I'd never put one in. Because I think at the end of the day, if people watch you off enough, and that was interesting about Dunfermline, they'd just been taken over with Germans, and the Germans had spoke at the time. They watched a game that we'd actually lost 4-1 with Alloa, and they thought it was the best football team they'd seen. And that's why they gave me the job. They kept watching after that to see the team. Yeah. And we'd lost that game 4-1, but we were outstanding in that particular match. But they gave me the job on the back of that. That's why they invited me to have a meeting with them.
CV, report card and Danny Rule. That's coming after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Some of the headlines tonight. Well, it's the fallout from the split, but that all goes out the window come match day, which of course is Saturday and then Sunday this weekend. The Green Brigade are back in, but I see in the last hour or so they've issued some recommendations to Celtic, which include they would like an apology, a formal apology to supporters for the manner, they say, in which this situation has been handled. That's a short-term recommendation they're wanting from the board. Celtic fans have been on quite a few tonight saying it's good news that they're all back in and just get on with trying to get a winning team on the park. Rangers are just, a point behind Hearts at the top of the table. Kevin Kyle, the former Rangers and Hearts strikers, with us. Few Rangers fans on saying, Kevin, what's your Rangers team for this weekend for the Falkirk game?
Portland obviously in goals. Sterling, I think Fernandez will come back in for John Souttar. Giga, I'm pretty sure Rome's is out injured.
He is. He's out for at least another.
So Magoma would come in there. Scove Olsen, Raskin, Chukwani, who I like Chukwani. I think he's a decent player. Mikey Moore. I'd keep Asgard. I think he done enough on Saturday to keep his place. And then I would start. I'd probably go with Chamiti Nadiri having a. Did somebody say he had a scan?
Yes, he's getting a scan. He's had a scan today.
But that was my point at the beginning of the show, that you've lost Romans. You need to bring in Magoma. You've put Tavernier on the bench. You're bringing in Sterling. You put Souttar back on the bench. You're bringing in Fernandez. They've got a bit of depth, striker wise. If Nadiri doesn't play, you've got either Majovski or Chamiti. So Rangers, and then even midfield, you think if they don't play Asgard, they could put in Diamandi. They've got numbers.
Would you play Scov Olsen? People were really disappointed with him at the weekend. I'll tell you, this is what the manager said about him after the game.
Yeah, I think general, and this is in football sometimes up and downs. I think Scov brings a lot of quality with, and he brings also a lot of game understanding with. He should. And this is the key. What I spoke with him individual, and some moments he can risk more. He can more believe in his strength, and I think this is a part. Yeah, believe in your strength, because he has everything what he to play on in this league on a fantastic level. To play here, to score, to make assists. He showed us in some moments, and we will help them. And then we have to prepare him for the next game, and then let's see. And I think this is also a big part for us. If some player or someone is maybe not by 100%, I have a chance to sub players in, and then it means not that there is a big foul and I am against them. No, I will support him, and then he can train again well. And if he trained well, then there's still a chance again to play again for us. It's an open competition. I think yesterday we trained both teams. If you ask me who starts, sometimes you think this team could start, but also this team could start, and this gives me a great feeling at the minute. And this is very important. You see it goes so quick. Tür out, maybe Ryan out. Hopefully not too long. Let's see what happens. everyone has to be ready, and this is key.
Kevin, what do you think? Olsen, do you want to reconsider?
No, I think listening to Danny Rowell there, I think he has belief in him. I think he sees a lot in training. I think he's still persevering with him. The other option would be Gassama, who would arguably agree that he is also up and down. He's not consistent enough. So he's probably looking at the best of the two evils at the minute, and he's probably trying to give Scove Olsen as much confidence by playing him every week, hoping that this player he sees and believes in is going to turn up. And if he does turn up, then there may be a different type of player. But
going to hurry up though, isn't it? There's only 6 games. We know he's on loan. He'll cost 8 to 9 million in the summer. But you're not thinking about that yet. No. Are you just trying to win a title?
Listen, the Rangers are playing Falkirk in the first 2 games between both clubs were both draws, 0-0 and 1-1. So this isn't going to be an easy game by any stretch of imagination. So whatever team Danny Rowell puts out, he'll believe that that's a team that can take care of Falkirk. If it's not, then he'll be able to make substitutions, because he's obviously said there in his interview that he's got one team in mind 1 minute, he's got another team in mind in the next. So that's why he gets paid the big bucks. He'll make the call, and if he gets it right, they'll love him. If he gets it wrong, they'll be moaning us to say, why did he no start and why did they no start? That's football.
And what do you think about Danny Rowell? What's your feeling? You mentioned it before the programme, how he's doing. And Stephen Gerrard praised him yesterday.
I think I look at what he did at Sheffield Wednesday, and done a great job there. He's then got the job at Rangers. People might say that maybe too big a club at the time or whatever. Young manager, hungry. Stephen Gerrard's praised him. For me, what he did, what I liked when he came in at the beginning is that he did everything that Russell Martin wasn't doing. Russell Martin had this style of play but couldn't get results. He came in and all Rangers fans wanted was results. So there's been a lot of games where Rangers have won ugly, but the reality is they've got 3 points most weekends. So for me, I think if Danny Rowell manages to see Rangers over the finishing line and win this title, it'll be an incredible effort that he's brought to the club, and he'll be regarded as one of the men that, like, because obviously this hasn't happened for a long time. Obviously when they stopped Celtic all those years ago, but I think we may see a different version of Danny Rowell next year. When he gets his few more of his own players in, and then has a pre-season to try and implement a style. Because at the minute, when you watch Rangers, they stick to the same formation and patterns, but there's no really like that cutting edge style that you think, oh, Rangers play this way every week. They change it up to try and win the game, and it's been successful so far. So it would be interesting to see what he's like next season with a full pre-season behind his belt, a couple more of his own players along with the players that he has. He probably will lose a couple of players, but I've been impressed with him.
He'll want to lose some of the players as well, get his team for next year.
Oh, absolutely.
Peter, what do you make of Kevin's lineup for Rangers?
My team for Rangers.
Okay.
I know people we think they're hoping they get beat. You know, it's not one of their wins. I've put Butland in goals. I went Tavernier because I think he still has the most assists. He's always a threat for set plays. His delivery 9 times out of 10 is excellent. So if you've got Fernandez and Jigger, you know, all that height in there, Chermiti's very good in there. There's a reason for that. So Tavernier would play Jigger, Fernandez, Magoma. I'd play Chukwani. I know Raskin keeps saying to everybody he's this number 6. Chukwani would play in front of the 2 centre halves, stay central.
Kevin's nodding.
And then I would allow Raskin, and I would bring Diamondi in. Because it's Falkirk they're playing, I'd bring Diamondi in. So I'd be near 4-1-4-1. So it'd be Gassama, Raskin, Diamondi and Moore and Chermiti. That 5 go in attack with the 2 fullbacks joining in, with Chukwani playing in front of Jigga and Fernandez. I think that would be Rangers' strongest team in their Deary.
And if you were, sorry, what do you mean by Diamondi for Falkirk? What do you mean by that?
Because I just think Falkirk could outplay them in the middle of the pitch.
Sure. His talent.
You know, I think they could outplay them. I think they could play through them. Because they don't get close enough, and I think Raskin's undisciplined is that deeper one.
What's your scoreline, Peter? Roughly, who's going to win or draw? What do you reckon for the Falkirk game at the end of the weekend?
I think Rangers will beat Falkirk.
Okay.
I think
Kevin, what do you think?
I know I said I think at the beginning of the season, but I think Rangers have enough, and I like Peter's idea with Diamandi because on Saturday against Dundee United, when Dundee United broke on them, they didn't have that protection. I think Diamandi,
like that?
That would help.
What about Hearts, your old team against Motherwell?
I think Hearts struggle at Motherwell.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a tough fixture.
Tynecastle,
I think the first time they played it was 3-0. Motherwell were 3-0 up, and I think it ended up 3-3.
It was 3-3. So it's at Tynecastle, you still think?
I still think that Motherwell will give Hearts a really tough game. I think if Hearts come away with a point, it'll be a good point.
Peter?
I think Hearts because Shankland's back.
Okay. And Celtic against St Mirren, Peter?
Celtic
for you?
I would think Celtic will beat St Mirren,
the week before the cup final. That's the tours have come and gone. It's been pretty quick, guys. Thank you
It's a
so
pleasure, Paul.
much.
Pleasure.
Cheers, Paul.
Yeah, and remember tomorrow night, Willie Hockey, Lord Hockey is going to join us to talk about the Season Ticket Alliance. What's the latest news? Who's going to be leading it? What's the take up? This could cost him 10 million.
Oh,
that's what he
small
has
change.
put up.
He's dropped
isn't it?
more
It's
running for the
phenomenal.
bus.
Oh, steady, steady. And also Charlie McGrew will be here, and Jamie Murphy still playing back in there at
Coaching
United
as well.
and coaching. For sure he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Thank you so much to everyone who was on tonight. So many calls and there's some great debate as well. And we'll be back tomorrow night and then Friday night as well as we head towards the weekend. It's flying in and we love all the chat. We appreciate every one of you who've made the switch from 5 o'clock every night. More and more people listening on Go Radio and on YouTube and on Facebook as well. Thanks so much. The news is next. Then it's Joe Day. See you tomorrow night at 5.